In the previous part, we deployed our Acme Fitness application in the split mode across two clusters. Now let's try to expose the front-end service of the application to the external world. To expose a service outside TSM is by creating a GNS and exposing it as public service. Since we haven't done that till now, let's just access the front-end service port by forwarding the shopping pod using kubectl. Let's look at all the services running on on-prem 1 cluster. And we can see shopping is running there. Let's expose it using port forward of kubectl on port 3000. Let's try and access this application. We can see that we can access our application and it seems to be working fine. But it's not showing any items in the catalog. And that's because our catalog service is running on a different cluster to which we do not have connectivity. At this stage, let's create a global namespace. Let's call it Acme and give it a domain name called acme.com, which provides identity and connectivity to the service within the GNS, irrespective of where they are running. The next step is important. This is where you define what comprises of your global namespace. It's a rule-based configuration where you can attach a cluster and its namespaces to the GNS. Let's add the cluster on-prem 1 and its namespace Acme. At this stage, you can also see the existing services deployed in that namespace. And you can see all the services there except catalog. Let's go ahead and add the other cluster, which is on-prem 2, and its namespace Acme. Here you can see the catalog service. Let's go ahead and also add EKS Cloud Cluster. As I said, it's rule-based, so the services may or may not exist. And as and when the services are deployed in this cluster's namespace, they will become a part of the GNS. Let's configure the public service now. Here we can pick up the front-end service, which is shopping, and give it a public URL. Let's give it a name Acme. As you can see, my subdomains that I had delegated to Avi, tanzuservicemesh.com and tanzuservicemesh.net, they got already populated here. Let's pick up .net, and now let's add a default health check for the service. Let's look at the summary, and everything looks fine. The application can be accessed at acme.tanzuservicemesh.net. As soon as we finish creating the GNS and go to Avi, we can see the TSM automatically created a GSLB service in Avi with the endpoint to the cluster's ingress gateway. Now, if we access our application using the public URL, we can see that we can now access the complete application, including the catalog. So you can see all the catalog items here, right? And all this just worked automatically by creating a GNS and making these clusters a part of the same GNS. If we now go to a different view, which is the GNS view on the TSM dashboard, you can see how services within the GNS are connected to each other across the clusters through the GNS service graph. Another important point to note is that all the connectivity between the services within the cluster and across the cluster is encrypted by default using MTLS.